Today is Sunday, March 2nd. Or is it Sunday, March 1st? I think it's Sunday, March 2nd. And today I want to talk about something that's probably the most important lesson that I will be experiencing in my lifetime. And it has to do with the question of authority. So let me give you a little background. Okay, I was raised by my mother, and I don't know my father, my natural father. I have a stepdad who's wonderful. He's wonderful, but he's not my natural father, and I don't know him. I didn't know him when I was really young, you know? I met him when I was probably 9 or 10. So for the first 9 years of my life, I was without my actual father. So my idea of authority is informed by my mother and myself. I'm an Aquarius, and Aquarians naturally have an issue with authority because there's a natural leadership that exists in most Aquarians. And it's not to say that all Aquarians have issues with authority. It's just we probably prefer to be telling people what to do than to have people telling us what to do. If you're Aquarius and that doesn't fit you, I understand. We're not all the same. But for a lot of Aquarians, this is what we experience. I hear it from other Aquarians as well. And it's the astrology that we have chosen. So anyway, I'm raised by my mom primarily. I've always really thought of my mom as being, I've thought of myself as having just my mom as my parent. And my mother died in November of last year, of November 2013. So I feel like I am a grown-ass woman without a parent. Now, the ultimate parent is our godparent, or our source parent, or source. And to be honest with you, I've always had a really great relationship with source, with God, always been really devoted to the God that I understand, which has always been a loving, like a really kind, generous God that loves me. However, the love that I really, oh God, I'm going to cry again. The love that I have always known from God has weakened as I've gotten older. So when I was a little kid, the love that I had for God was wild, and it was joyous, and it was perfect, and it was unconditional love going both ways. As I got older, my love for God became a hell of a lot less trusting. Let's admit it. I went through some hard times over the course of my life. And every experience I had weakened my relationship with God. And it got to the point where I would love God. I'd love God. But I don't trust you, you motherfucker. Because let me tell you something. You know, people are dying around me. You know, shit's happening. There's war. There's sickness. There's death. There's just stuff on a daily basis that doesn't work out. So how can I trust God when shit just doesn't work out? So I became angry with God, and that weakened the love that I had with God. And on one level, that was, okay, I'd still survive. But it became so devastating, and my trust in God became basically non-existent. I felt like God's out there. God loves us, but he don't do anything about it. It's all up to us to do everything. So I became my own authority figure. And because I was having so many instances of failure, that I couldn't trust myself. So who could I trust? No one. So I'm in the world alone. And I start getting coaching to help me with this. And the last year and a half, my mom has, within the last year and a half, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. I started spiritual life coaching with my coach, Faith Spina. And then my mom went through chemo. And then a year and a half later, or a year and a few months later, Mom died. So, of course, how can you trust, a God or a system or a society or a world where a woman gets breast cancer, goes through, a year of fucking treatments, radiation, double mastectomy, chemotherapy, shaved head, all with a great attitude, like an attitude of survival, an attitude of gratitude. How do you witness that and then be like, oh yeah, God, you fucking rock? You don't. You don't. Crying again. Sorry. Totally not expecting all this crap. Body temperature's rising right now. Not expecting the tears. So, my last 3 months, December, January, February, we're now in March. So the last 3 to 4 months have been about me being alone and going into the dark night of the soul and working on all this stuff, these ideas, and trying to get a sense of what is true. So after my mom died, this is the point of this video. Shit, it's long, sorry. Okay, after my mom dies, I head to the United Kingdom. We're talking right after my mom dies. And I get to the UK border, and all the way there are lots of signals that say, don't go, you aren't going, it's not happening right now. Lots of signals. And I ignore them because number one, I've got a lot of shit going on. Number two, I want to go to the UK. And number three, I got a lot of shit going on. I am not going to stop and listen. And also, even if I stop and listen, because I was witnessing, so I was doing some listening. But even though I was listening, there was no way I even knew how to stop my plans and change my plans. Like, okay, I've packed my bags. I've made arrangements for a place to stay. I've got people that are relying on me to come there. how am I going to just put the brakes on that because I have a feeling? This is where my rational mind is like, no, you have a plan, you're going, you'll figure it out when you get there. I didn't get there. On my way to the UK, my, oh man, it's so much. There's issues with the apartment I first rent, right? I rent the apartment, and then later the person says, you can't have the apartment because, I've got something else going on. Then I rent another apartment. It's beautiful, but they got no internet access. They put in internet access for me, and it ain't working, right? There's another reason, because I got to have internet access for 3 months, Got to do my work. Then a friend gets me a plane ticket, and everything is totally miscommunicated about how Bastet is going to fly with me. We think that Bastet is going to be able to fly on the flight. Turns out she can't. So they can't fly a pet into the United Kingdom. So I land in New York with Bastet and my stuff, and they're saying they're gonna if they fly her in, they're gonna put her down, right? So there's all sorts of stuff. Right as I'm landing into New York, I'm having a conversation, and I with myself. I'm reading my tarot cards. I get the card that says change in plans, end of story. You got to start a new story. Get some flexibility here, dumbass. Everything is pointing to not arriving in the UK. So, fine. I'm ignoring all that shit because I can't deal with being told no. I get to the UK, and I'm told no in the biggest fucking way you can even imagine. I am just like, it is no. You are not coming into this country. And they make up, it's not that they make up, they're just doing their job. They're doing the job of the universe. They're doing what they're supposed to. They're preventing me from going to the UK because I'm not supposed to go to the UK. So, fine. I come to Montreal, get my cat, I'm in Montreal, and I get to experience the dark night of the soul in Montreal. Part of the reason why I'm experiencing my dark night of the soul in Montreal is because this is what Montreal looks like. Snow. Honestly, I couldn't be bothered to go out. So I'm forced to be here and deal with myself, deal with my shit, see my shadow. I am going to stop cursing, by the way. What's with me right now? So, again, the reason for doing this video has changed. I started off, I wanted to talk about authority. And actually, it has not changed. My relationship with God is reflected in my relationships with my parents and with the authority of the United Kingdom Border Patrol. They were an authority, eh? They had total control. Ugh. Okay, so the point that I'm making, and the reason I started working on this, was to come to an understanding of how I can correct my relationship with the UK authorities. Of course, I can write them a letter, and that's what we do in the three-dimensional world. We write people a letter, and we discuss our issues. But that's not the real issue. I got to work on my relationship with God. The rejection, the humiliation, the shame, the lack of support that I felt at the UK border by the border agents and by the government of the United Kingdom, totally mirrors how I feel about God, you know? I used to think God was love and sweet, and in many ways I still feel this way, right? I still feel it. But the fact is my behavior doesn't reflect the way that I say that I feel. My behavior reflects someone who feels that God will humiliate her, that God will not support her, that God doesn't really a care about her, but that she's a number. And that's how I felt at the UK border, like I was a number, I was humiliated, I was ashamed, and I felt unsupported. Now, the deep-seated issues, okay, I think that's where I have to end this video because number one, I've gone on too long and I don't really know how to edit. So I'm going to stop this video right here and I'm going to just say, this is part one. I'm going to store up how to do a video so I can like give you kind of a spiritual soundbite. I got that from my friend Stella Chung, spiritual soundbite. Love that girl. I'm hoping to give you though a little bit of information in a short amount of time. But I've been getting distracted, man. You know, I got distracted. So I have to just, I ask you to be patient with me as I do these. And yeah, be patient. There's some information I hope in here that helped you relate to yourself. Help you understand maybe how to look at your relationship with what's going on the outside world and how to apply what you see outside to what you see inside. For example, if you're in a really loving relationship with a man, or your significant other, and you feel totally supported and totally trusting and totally seen, I betcha that that's also your relationship to Source and the world. Like you feel totally seen and supported by Source. There are times when I feel that way, and there are times that I've felt that way, like consistently. Now it's just not one of those times. Well, actually, I'm coming into that time. Coming back to that again. But it's only by these little breakdowns that I have that I realize, and by these conversations that I'm having with you, the conversations that I'm having with God. It's the only way that I can really heal. So I appreciate you for listening. And like I said, I hope you get something from this video, even though it's a little bit wayward. I got to get my stuff together like Jenna Marbles. Love that girl. I'm going to post one. I'm going to post her drunken makeup video because that's my favorite video of all time. I'm going to post that on my blog because it's funny as hell. And in the meantime, thank you, friends, for seeing me, for supporting me. And, okay. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste.